Okay, thank you very much for joining this session. We're going to be talking about the Femern Belt project. We're delighted to be joined here by Marina Callisti from Femern Belt team. My name is Aidan Mercer. I'm the Marketing Director of buildingSMART International. I'll be doing some of the discussion here today, but I'm also joined by Ole Berard from buildingSMART Denmark, Molio. Say hello, Ole.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, and we also have Marina online, so hi, Marina. Say hello.
Good morning, everyone, or I would say, yeah, good afternoon.
It's afternoon here, yeah. But it's morning for you, right? Is it 9 a.m.?
Yeah, it's 9 a.m. here in Denmark, Copenhagen.
You've got the whole day to look forward to.
Exactly. So
I think we'll hand over to you, Marina, and you'll get us started. Thank you.
Yes, sure. So good morning, everyone. I'm Marina Callisti, BIM manager at Femern Belt. In today's session, we'll be discussing how Femern and Femern Belt, together with buildingSMART International and buildingSMART Denmark, are working together to ensure a seamless handover of the Femern Belt project by leveraging openBIM and standards such as IDS. I'll kick things off with an overview of the Femern Belt project, sharing some hopefully interesting figures about the longest immersed tunnel currently under construction. Following that, we'll delve into the reasoning behind our decision to embrace this initiative of called Accelerator Program developed by buildingSMART International. And we also explore why good data is crucial and how effectively we collaborated with buildingSMART International and buildingSMART Denmark to deliver the best openBIM process possible, and where we are now and what is next. Lastly, there will be a QA session at the end of the presentation for any question you might have. So by the end of this session, we hope that you will have a solid understanding of the Femern Belt fixed link and the concept of the accelerator program. So in order to explain the reasons behind our decision to start the openBIM accelerator program, we will focus on the question of why and how we embarked on this journey. To illustrate this, we will share what we have accomplished and implemented so far in the Femern Belt accelerator program. So let's get started. First of all, who we are. As owner organization, Femern AS is the company responsible for planning, building and operating the fixed link between Denmark and Germany across the Femern Belt Strait. Femern AS is a subsidiary company of Femern Belt Holding, which is fully owned by the Danish Ministry of Transport. The Femern Belt project is not the only project, the only major infrastructure project for which Femern Belt is responsible for. Femern Belt is in fact responsible for several major infrastructure projects that are really crucial for improving mobility and connectivity between Denmark and the rest of Europe. The key projects include the Storebælt connection, which is a combined road and link that connect eastern and western Denmark. It's one of the most significant infrastructural lifelines, ensuring efficient transport and mobility between regions in Denmark. We also have Øresund Link, the Øresund connection that links Denmark and with Sweden. It's also an important international transport corridor. Again, it consists of a combined road and rail link that support both passenger and freight transport. And then the Femern Belt project. It is the upcoming fixed link between Denmark and Germany. There are also many more forthcoming projects that are in the planning phase, but these are the one that Femern Belt are currently operating, maintaining, or for which is the design and construction is ongoing, like the Femern Belt link. Let's give a look at the financing model. The financing model of the Femern Belt project is based on user financing. This means that the revenues from traffic through the Femern Belt tunnel will be used to repay the loans that finance the construction. In other words, is the user of the connection who pays for it, and this model is similar to the one used for the Store Belt and the Horizon connection. We are also getting European support in the construction phase because the Femern Belt project is it plays a significant role in the modernization of European infrastructure and support. So I will start the presentation also by reminding why we are building the Femern Belt Fixed Link, why we are constructing this project. The Femern Belt Fixed Link is a major infrastructure project aimed to create a direct connection between Denmark and Germany through an 18-kilometer long immersed tunnel. The fixed link will consist of a road and rail tunnel crossing the strait between Denmark and Germany as part of the European transport network. But the Femern Belt Fixed Link is not only an immersed tunnel, it includes extensive upgrades to both railway and motorway infrastructure to enhance connectivity between Denmark and Germany. This picture is to show how the Femern Belt Tunnel is part of the future European transport network. This explains why we are getting European financial support, because the project is essential for the and it constitutes a transport corridor aiming to create a fully electrified railway between Scandinavia and Central Europe, and by also improving competitiveness. So the upgraded railway and motorway are aimed to reduce the distance by 160 kilometers and shortening the travel times for commuters between Germany and Denmark. So the construction, the main construction phase has begun on the Danish side, including the establishment of the work harbor at Rodbjerg. The contractors are working, have been activated, allowing the construction of the tunnel element factory and the ramp structure. So here are some pictures of the very first tunnel segment ready for the next phase. Here are some key figures. The construction of the Femern Belt tunnel involves creating a submerged tunnel consisting of 79 standard elements and 10 special elements. Each standard element is 270 meters long, and the tunnel will accommodate 2-lane motorway in each direction and 2 electrified railway tracks. Here, just to give you an understanding of the companies awarded, the contractors awarded for the design and build contracts. They are coming from various countries, and each contract often involves a joint venture of multiple companies along with several subcontractors. Each one is contributing in the different areas of constructing, and this can include activities such dredging and reclamation works, power supplies, and the rail system. But let's delve into the key of today's presentation, the reason behind why we decided to start with buildingSMART International, buildingSMART Denmark, this journey called the Accelerator Program into the Femern Belt Fixed Link. And I'd like to start with a quote from our CEO, Michael Hemmingsen. Michael Hemmingsen has emphasized the critical role of data in infrastructure projects, highlighting that the true value lies in the data rather than technology itself. So we really have to keep in mind in our company that good data is crucial. for the success of large-scale infrastructure projects like the Femern Belt Link, but also for the forthcoming projects. This has led us to kind of approach the openBIM, trying to understand why openBIM is so important. We truly believe that the success of BIM implementation relies on utilizing open data exchange standards. It's also important to mention that the Danish government has required the use of IFC, the Open File Format Specification, on all major publicly supported construction projects. This was one of the very first initiatives from a government level, one of the very first initiatives seen in Europe from a government level. And we believe that this was also one of the reasons why we really started looking to openBIM and IFC, the IFC adoption. We analyze how open standards like IFC, as well as BSDD and IDS, means interoperability, flexibility, but also sustainability in terms of data that can be future-proof. And one argument about this, the argument behind the success of BIM implementation relies on open data exchange standard, is because we have seen that in a large-scale project like the Femern Belt is really pivotal, the data exchange that take place between stakeholders and between us. We have several disciplines. We have so many contractors working on various disciplines, and we have seen that IFC is crucial during various project phases and activities. But a second argument is also coming from looking at the Femern Belt value chain. The value chain is the company model. So its value chain encompass every step a company undertakes, starting from the planning phase, so from the initial phase through construction, and continuing to the operational maintenance phase to deliver a service. So this includes various activities of the project. We know, we mentioned earlier that the Femern Belt project is currently in full steam, so the design and construction phase is in full steam. But we know that by 2029, Femern Belt, we have to transition to the operational stage. So Femern Belt will take over a fully completed project and has to develop a strong strategy already now to manage this transition efficiently. That's why we have worked closely with also our operational and maintenance department. And in this regard, these arrows can also be reversed somehow. So having in mind this value chain and how important it is to consciously have in mind the next phase, we have worked closely together to envision which possibility relies behind openBIM workflows. We also have taken in consideration the value of the knowledge management, so meaning how we should use this accelerator project and how we can scale, how we can use the experience gathered during this accelerator project for future Femern Belt projects that are currently in planning and analysis phase. But let's take a look also to the data and digitalization strategic objective. As we said before, BIM is not only relevant for those involved in design and construction areas, but also for asset operators. We truly believe that many benefits of digitalization come when we connect the system together. And to do so, the data have to be exported, have to be transferred to the next stage, And we have to ensure the data integrity, and we should really strive in avoiding data loss. This is because IBM Maximo is the enterprise asset management system used by Sun & Belt to manage and control all the assets and to perform all maintenance work, both corrective and preventive, in all their facilities. This includes also the Femern Belt projects. And we have this, the objective is to use the BIM model, have them available into the BIM viewer, and use those BIM model during the operational phase for visualization purpose to create work orders directly from the BIM viewer, be able to ease the work of the asset operators and the technicians on site. The BIM model will be also used as the basis for any future rebuilding of the facilities. That's why, if I go back to the previous slide, we have looked into the IDS and BSDD as and IFC as something crucial, especially for the handover phase. When handing over the BIM models containing the classification system for the next operational and maintenance phase. So I'll leave the floor to Aidan to dive into the accelerator program.
Thank you. And you're going to click next slides, is that correct?
Yes, sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, just thank you for that, Marina. That was great. Yeah, so I'll just talk a little bit about the accelerator program, but just because we're here and want to be interactive with the audience, is anyone from this room contributing to the project in any way? I know there's a hand here from Royal Haskoning, Trimble. Was anyone at the Valencia summit when we did the workshop and involved in the workshop? I think Akka Software, Trimble, so some software. Okay, so there's a few here. And I think there's a couple in here in CERTI Foundation and CCCC who are also doing an accelerator project as well with BSI. So this is some good context. Okay. Yeah, so we have this service called the Accelerator Program, and it's designed to really align processes with the openBIM workflow. So things that we presented yesterday, for example, concepts related to how to implement openBIM is really part of the goal of the service. And essentially, buildingSMART International will partner with a chapter such as buildingSMART Denmark to support a client or an organization that really wants some support in delivering those things. And it's not something we do a lot of. We only have a few projects that we actually work with. And for the example of this one, obviously the size and scale of it was really one of the reasons behind that. So yeah, I think you could go through this one to the end, and I'll just mention then that obviously it's really about these things that we mentioned, just to keep reinforcing. And if you put the last slide on validation, it's really, sorry if you just go back, so thank you. Yeah, so this whole sort of cycle of information, but really making sure in the example of Femern that actually developing the IDS, producing quality IFC models, as we heard, is being enforced in Denmark, that the ability to be able to validate that information is really critical in this example. So bringing this openBIM workflow into a real project was really something we really want to do, because I think it really helps for everyone to know that actually the openBIM workflow really delivers value to the process and the clients. So next slide, please. There are 3 phases. We do a discovery workshop, which is really designed to for us to better understand the business needs, the requirements of the customer, essentially. And this is a hands-on exercise. So actually at the facility, building the relationship, but really understanding what the requirements are for the client. So we did that with this example with Femern. We had multiple meetings. We really wanted to figure out exactly, as Marina mentioned, that actually the long-term goal was to get this information in the right format, and we had some short-term goals as well within that. The scope of work is then developed as a result of that, and we develop that to ensure that we can put a budget together for that organization, we can get the right support, the right resources, and really deliver that. And then the last part is really learning and support to continue upskilling. And I think that's also an important component. Next phase, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what does it solve? Well, it's really about practical implementation of openBIM into projects. It offers new methodologies to support real businesses. I know in another example we've been working on, it's really aligned to IFC 5, for example. So, and organizations want to adopt new or test new experiments related to some of these things, and that's part of the goal that they have. It's really tangible elements, implementations of these technical standards, and I think that's also really important, and it's scalable. So it really doesn't matter the size of the project essentially, because it's about the process that we get to, and actually the size in that point is not really the daunting task for us. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here are some organizations that we work with. Yep, Serti are here in the room, so thank you. We work with that organization to support some really advanced use cases in Brazil, which is fantastic. We've also delivered a project with McDonald in the UK. Obviously, we're talking about the Femern one, and we've also done a extensive work in the US to align a lot of the US DOTs related to some of these topics, because they had this, I wouldn't call it a resolution, I think it was called, related to IFC, and they wanted to really improve their understanding and knowledge related to that. So we did a lot of work there. We're supported with the US chapter as well. And I'll hand over to Ole.
Yes, I just use this microphone. Yes, click please. So yeah, as Aidan and Marina are saying, it was a collaboration between buildingSMART Denmark, buildingSMART International, and Femern. So I mean, buildingSMART Denmark is a chapter like that chapter in so many countries. Just put in a few of the or put in the partners, the supporters of buildingSMART Denmark in here. And want to mention that buildingSMART is a part of Molio. So Molio is the host organization for the Danish buildingSMART chapter, and Molio is a knowledge center for construction in the Danish industry that provides tools, standards to enhance both sustainability and productivity by digitalization. Please click. And once more. Yeah, so it. Just mentioning it once more, it was a partnership on one side, buildingSMART International, Molio, and buildingSMART Denmark, and then click. Of course, on the other side, it was Femern with the design and build contractors, and with the what's it called, with the consultant team. And as you can see on these logos, there are quite a few of them. Click once more. So we basically established an organization, a little organization, a complicated diagram for actually a very integrated work. So we basically had a technical team coordinating with each other, working with each other. On one hand, Marina and Julia from Femern, from the client side, and Arthur and Evandro from international side, and then Søren and Theodor from our side in Denmark. And I tried to make a little slide of who did what, and it was not that easy because everybody did a little bit of everything. So I tried to highlight some major responsibilities. But ideally, we were actually working quite close together. So of course, Evandro and Arthur, technical expertise, technical coordination, compliance and quality assurance, making sure we're delivering the right thing. Valencia workshop, which Aidan mentioned, and Marina will dive a little bit more into also the contact to software developers and take some of the feedback. And Arthur also ended up with developing a little automation tool during that project. Our part was mainly to be the arms and legs. We had the main project, the main contract with Femern, and we did we reviewed models. We're creating IDS, tested them models, and Femern's part of it was, of course, client overall requirements. Delivering IFC models, giving us the IFC models that were necessary. Also, the contact to the contractors and the consultant, and most importantly, I mean, Marina will at the end stand there and has to do it on a regular basis. So our role was just to develop the process, develop the IDS, but somebody needs to do all the checking work in in the end. Click. So the idea here was, or the process was to make this workshop in Valencia. The idea of the workshop basically was to experiment, to have a quick experiment with a workflow, but maybe even more important, to get contractors, to get designers started, to get buy-in, get everybody collected as a team, and get everybody to understand what this really is about, and where the benefits are in it for everything. After that, or maybe actually in parallel, but after that we started what's called testing the tools, testing the methodology, making a little proof of concept, making a little prototype in order to see does this work, and can we then scale it. So and after that, yeah, it basically was a lot of hard work. It was developing a lot of IDS, looking into a lot of models, and doing a lot of requirements. So basically a 3-step process, building on each other to make sure that we implement the right things, and don't scale the mistakes on our way. Yes, please click. So I think Evandro and Arthur did a very good job yesterday in 1.5 hours to explain the process. So I won't spend so much time on explaining what an IDS is and how the openBIM workflow works. But basically, our idea here was, of course, it was to define the requirements. Our vision for it was to define the requirements in an IDS, use the IDS for the creation of the IFC models. I mean, some of them were already created, and then check these models, both check them on an IDS and also validate models. So make sure that we are doing the right, that we are doing, that we're having correct, technical correct IFC models. And then also as was explained beautifully yesterday, we used the BSDD as a reference library, or the plan is to use the BSDD as a reference library. Try to click. So yes, so basically define requirements, both the very beautiful XML files that an IDS can be, but also try to show them in a more show them in a more human readable format. Click. And then use the IDS checks to the models, and basically provide feedback to the people, or to the creator of these models. Use the BSDD for mostly for we are using, or Femern is using CCI. What's it called? Construction Classification International? No, I'm not.
Construction Classification International. It's Construction Classification International System, should be.
Yeah. I think it was used to, when we invented it in Denmark, it was used to called CCS, and then the Swedes took it and changed the name, and
so it's now more international, let's say, but it started as a Danish initiative, and then as CCS, and then switched to CCI as a classification system. Adopted not only in Denmark but also in other countries in Europe.
I think quite a few countries are using it by now, and yes, just click. So we are also using it here for the maintenance information. And then, as I mentioned, of course, also validating the models, making sure that it is good, that are good IFC models. I think now it's yes.
So yes, so we have seen. Thank you, Ole. We have seen what was the framework, the strategy, and also what was the openBIM workflow that we envisioned at the starting of this project. Let's delve into the practicalities. So how in practice we have adopted and implemented the accelerator program, where we are so far, and what is coming next. I'll start with this slide just to say that the high-level objectives was to, first of all, assess the product feasibility So buildingSMART International and buildingSMART Denmark has spent some quite time auditing our processes, practice, documents. This was really crucial to define the main project deliverables and to fine-tune the project deliverables, while bearing in mind also the needs of upskilling openBIM through professional certification, and taking in mind also future possibilities. So we decided together we fine-tune this the accelerator program, deciding to have the accelerator program divided by 4 phases. So these were the 4 phases. I will start presenting the first one, the proof of concept, which had the main objective to formalize IFC data requirement using IDS, and then try to capture the lesson learned in the POC and mainly in the workshop to try to improve and replicate what we have experienced in the proof of concept and escalate what we have learned in phase 2 and phase 3 and also phase 4. Let's have a closer look of what was the proof of concept. The proof of concept started in parallel with the buildingSMART International Summit openBIM workshop. We worked together closely with buildingSMART International, buildingSMART Denmark to organize this openBIM workshop during the Valencia Summit last year in March 2024. The main objective was to simulate a workflow for exchange information using openBIM solutions. And this workshop was designed to be a proof of concept of the accelerator program. So what we did as the client, we have invited our contractors and our consultant and advisor to participate to this workshop. We got a lot of support also from software vendors and specialists that were involved actively during the workshop. And we worked together experimenting openBIM workflow tools and method. And we really try to support the contractors by working together, support the contractor in familiarizing with IFC 4.3, IDS, and BSDD. Here's some logo of the company who participated at this workshop last year. This workshop was made possible thanks also to the software vendors and their representative, Akka Software, Bentley, Autodesk, Solibri, and Trimble. So here are some useful insights on what we did during this workshop. We had more or less 15 BIM professionals from various companies involved in the design and the construction of the Femern Belt project. We divided them into international teams. We tried to mix those professionals by bringing together very diverse BIM managerial coordination and specialist skills. And we challenged them with a very hands-on learning openBIM experience. To do so, we focus on a very small scale, on a very few models from the Femern Belt project and a very few requirements. At the same time, we got some very useful feedback support by openBIM specialists and software experts that were also part of the team. And all the participants had also the opportunity to take the buildingSMART professional certification, the foundation exam during the summit. This is what we did. So we simulate. The intention of the workshop was an educational event and to interact in a practical way to let the participants interact in a very practical way with an openBIM workflow. The participants were divided in teams, as I mentioned before, and each team was comprising both us, the clients, and the contractors. And we were supposed to learn, but also have fun. So what we did, we prepared some of the documentation beforehand. So buildingSMART International, buildingSMART Denmark worked together with us to provide the inputs needed during the workshop. We provided to all the participants some instructions, some handouts. We pre-selected some few Femern Belt BIM model objects, BIM models, the most representative one in native format. We also selected some significant, the most significant exchange information requirements coming from the Femern Belt BIM specification. And we let the participants simulate the openBIM workflow, meaning they had to create an IDS file, enrich the model with BSDD classification, and validate the FC against IDS and using also the buildingSMART validation platform. We simulate the full workflow, also pretending to have at the same table both the appointing party and appointed parties, as actually is happening in the project. So we focus on desauthoring software tools that you see listed here: Revit, Civil 3D, Bentley Open Road, Tekla, because these are the major software, the major BIM design authoring software tools used by our contractors. We also had the availability of IDS authoring tools, IDS checker tools, and most importantly, each team was requested to document the approach adopted, and they had also to describe the challenges, the solution, while providing feedback to the software. Some of the main takeaways from this very successful workshop, I must say. So this workshop gave us the opportunity to work collaboratively. So we were really all together, try to target the challenge. We work closely with our contractors and with buildingSMART International and buildingSMART Denmark, but also with the software vendors, getting adopt feedback while working on the challenge. We had the opportunity to also assess where we are in terms of the technology. So where the different BIM design authoring software are in terms of IFC exports, and what are the capabilities currently available in the market in terms of IDS editor, IDS checking softwares. We also feel that we advanced our knowledge on openBIM, and we had the opportunity to align our contractors on our long-term objectives. As I mentioned earlier, we also ask our contractor, let's say to all the participants to the workshop, to document the approach and the strategy adopted to implement the openBIM workflow during the workshop. We gather everything in this report that were used internally. These were very useful. We were able to follow through on this report by also having follow-up meetings with the software vendors. So after the workshop, we follow up with Trimble, with Autodesk, and also with Bentley, of course, to try to gather all the experience, all the knowledge that we had during the workshop. We also buildingSMART International, they also prepared a report summarizing the deliverables and the challenges and for the next steps. So this is linked to what I mentioned earlier about having in mind the Femern Belt value chain, is really pivotal to document the approach, what we are doing, because we intend to transfer the knowledge into the next phase and also the forthcoming projects. Let's move on the second phase. So after this workshop, we had, I think we really had this workshop give a sense of what should have been focused on in the next phase. The main objective of the second phase was to convert all the Femern BIM and CAD requirements into an IDS files. The main purpose was to enable us, the owner, to automate part of the model checking activities, but at the same time also help the contractors enhance their QA, QC checks of their deliverables. Simultaneously, we decided to also check some IFC model, some selected IFC model received from our contractors against the requirement defined in the IDS. This was to provide us with a concrete metrics to grasp where we are in terms of quality, data quality, and completeness of the BIM models. So the scope was to extend the POC, the full IDS, the small IDS tested during the openBIM workshop, to extend this POC to cover all requirements. And by doing so, we also analyzed what was the most sensible approach. We thought that it was very important to target just one project phase, and this is the handover phase. And the final scope of this complete IDS was also to share these files internally, so to share this file with our consultants that are supporting us in the model checking and model validation phase, but also share these IDS requirement, IDS file with the contractors. So the deliverables of this phase were 10 IDS files containing more than 500 requirements. We then selected 14 representative models, and we asked buildingSMART International, buildingSMART Denmark to check the IDS requirement, the full IDS requirements. So to check this 14 selected model against the IDS requirements. It has been estimated that more than 10,000 elements were analyzed as part of this phase. Let's have a closer look at the subtask that I just mentioned. So the very first task was for buildingSMART International, buildingSMART Denmark to collect all our data requirements and migrate these requirements to an Excel structure to be suitable for conversion to IDS. Then it was the time of the actual task to write the IDS file based on the existing exchange information requirements. We decided together to focus on the classification system. So in the project, we are using the Femern Asset Referencing System that is based on the CCI classification system. It's of paramount importance to really be sure that the classification is implemented correctly, because the classification is the backbone behind many of our systems. So one of the BIM uses is the classification and identification of all the assets represented in the BIM models. But the classification is also used to in our common data environment, and also as an asset attributes in the IBM Maximo asset management system. That's why we focus particularly on checking how correct was the classification of the assets inside the BIM model. The next phase was to validate the 14 IFC model selected among the one delivered by our contractors to get an understanding of where we are. All the IDS checks reports were gathered together and were then also analyzed to capture the status of our BIM models and our data. We also striving to document the overall methodology. So which were the assumptions, the limitations, the issues used to create the Excel file for the IDS generation. In this method and maintenance document, buildingSMART International, buildingSMART Denmark has also tried to identify the procedure to maintain this Excel file beyond the accelerator project. So to in order for us to be able to maintain this Excel file. What are the outcomes? What are the conclusion of this phase? Let's get started with the last point in this table. We are really looking forward to move to the next phase, so to the phase 3, which is to consider the publishing of the Femern asset classification system in BSDD. We are currently handling the classification system through Excel and some database, but we know that that's to prevent mistakes and improve usability and clarity. We should really consider publishing the classification in BSDD, and that's what is coming in the next phase. Working together also give a sense of what we need to improve. So in terms of, for example, IFC properties, we know what we have to do better next time in the next project, trying to avoid creating custom properties. We are also very well aware that we still have to continue working in collaboratively to further improve outputs and future needs and requirements. We are trying to assess internally also what are the training needs and try to assess what could be a training plan. So next phase will be to develop together a domain within the buildingSMART data dictionary for the Femern project, incorporating the Femern asset referencing system, which is, as I said, really at the backbone of many of our system and database. We also know that we have to gather more guidance on how to effectively utilize IFC and other buildingSMART International solutions such as BSDD to address the identified discrepancies. As the final phase, we know that the next steps are to distribute this IDS file. We are currently using this IDS file internally. So we have distributed this IDS file among our BIM coordinators and our consultants. So to validate and check the BIM model in order to be ready for the next phase, that is the data transfer of the Femern Belt project to make the Femern Belt project ready for operation and maintenance. We know that these files are also quite useful for the contractors. During the workshop, we have given them, I would say, a very good understanding of what an IDS file, how they could also benefit from using this IDS file. That's why we intend to distribute this IDS file among our contractors before approaching the as-built handover phase. Another aim is also to scale the outcomes and replicate the accelerator program on the outcomes on the forthcoming Femern Belt project by also developing some material and guidelines for utilizing the IFC validation service and in conjunction with the FARS as soon as published in BSDD. As I mentioned earlier, we are also evaluating some further training needs amongst the Femern Belt employees. We have take on this plan to look into the next other professional certification, like the practitioner and the management professional certification training from buildingSMART, but also other kind of professional certification. And then I guess it's time for hearing from you any question you might you might have at the end of this presentation.
Thank you, Marina. I mean, brilliant job describing it, and thank you so much for embracing openBIM. I guess, Evandro, the first question I have is, did she get a badge like the ones you had yesterday in the stage to say she's... That this is an act. Yeah, we haven't rehearsed anything with Evandro right now. I can tell you this now. Okay. Yeah, I think maybe I was going to mention as well, we have an immersed tunnel project here at buildingSMART International, which was also discussed. So that might be a topic of conversation. But I just wanted to then give the audience maybe a chance to ask any questions to Marina if you'd like. Oh, Gerard.
I almost don't dare to ask, but what's the money involved in a process like this? Just to have the support of my colleagues from building.
Yeah, we had a pretty transparent about that. We had a regular rate that we used for staff, depending on what it was that they were doing, and that was agreed with the chapter because they took the contract. And agreed with Femern, and then we just executed against the tasks. And I think Evandro did a lot of coordinating as well to make sure that we tried to deliver on time and on budget, and I think we did that. But yeah, I can't remember the exact numbers, to be honest with you.
I've got a small question for you then. Do you know how much it is? I mean, I'm interested to see, because I think we're going to the same process as a firm, because we think it's important. And we want to share. But the other hand is that for clients, they need to decide whether it's for use for them, is it financial use. So I'm interested to see the ballpark figure in general, and if there's someone to look into it, that it serves the purpose, value for money.
Marina, was it value for money?
I definitely think so. This again brings me to the slide of the value chain. So I think what it really matters for each company is to really sit together internally and see what are the strategic objectives. So what are the purposes before starting up a huge project like an accelerator program, because of course it takes also a lot of time and effort from the owner's side. To start an accelerator project, but again, it's really depends on the final objective of the strategical objectives that a company may have. In our case, it's really important to make sure that the data are transferred to the next phase, because I'm trying to find a slide where I was showing what are we going to do with these BIM models. I think it's this one. Sorry. So
I mean, whilst you do that, Marina, do you mind if I share how much the workshop cost? Is it? I just don't know, because it was.
Yeah, I think it's, if you have the numbers, it's you can go ahead.
We did the workshop, which we managed end to end, and it was 60,000 euros, and we.
A couple of 100,000 euros was
just the workshop. Sorry, in Valencia, yeah, the roughly a couple 100,000 euros for the whole project over a year, but that included a 60,000 euro workshop, which was done for 3 months' work, pretty much, I would say. Yeah, the preparation, so 3 months of preparation. That included tickets for all of the stakeholders to come to the summit, so that was included in the package, plus the room, plus everything else, which was probably cost to us was probably about 10,000. So then it was really just resources. But I think if you look at the value, we brought all the stakeholders together, aligned around a common mission. We brought the software vendors who willingly participated and contributed as well to the table, which I think is the right environment to bring it under the buildingSMART umbrella. And I think then they were able to change a lot of the processes for that. So I would say value for money, I would say it was pretty good, because it's not an extortionate amount that we were hoping to do it. And I feel like we gave the videos, everyone seems to remember that as a good experience. And of course it added value to the summit. So that's probably about us.
And I think everybody, I mean, we put farmer hours into the project. Everybody then than we maybe have should. And but I think it also provided value of money for the chapter, and I guess it also provided value of money for the money or for the work for you, because they actually gave us a lot of experiences in how to do these things.
Yeah, when buildingSMART International is never going to be a consulting firm. We're pretty bad at it in terms because we do more work than we should have done and all the rest of it. But at the same time, this is about demonstrating it in things. So we acknowledge that this is a perfect market for our community, but we have to demonstrate this to make sure that this is a methodology that can be followed, and that's the reason behind it.
And adoption. I mean, to be able to develop more things, industry needs to adopt some of these standards. So it's basically also for us as a chapter, it's about adopting all these standards and in implementing them in the industry.
I think that's the rain. It's like being back in England at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is Singapore.
As our own organization, we really think that we need to lead some of the changes in the construction industry, like the adoption of openBIM standards. So, of course, we were kind of also dictated by doing so because, as I mentioned earlier, Denmark was one of the very first country on a government level to require IFC. But we also believe that as our own organization, we have a responsibility. We can play a really crucial role in driving some changes. That's why we decided to start this accelerator project program. And again, there are so many other forthcoming projects that are in the planning and estimation phase that we really have to better ourselves and improve the way we are distributing our requirements. We got a very good feedback from our contractors as well by working together at this workshop. So there is no doubt that it's an additional value and it was worth the money.
Yep, Peter.
Thank you for the presentation. And I had a remark maybe in the same direction a little bit, and that's what's the value in it for me as a chapter. I mean, was there a specific return to buildingSMART? I mean, it's a buildingSMART project under the accelerator program umbrellas. I mean, how was it defined? What is returned back to the organization, and how is that documented in some way?
Yeah, but I mean, as I said, I think there were a couple of things in it for us as a chapter. I mean, one of the things is to have a happy partner in Denmark. It's also to have a good use case about IDS. We were actually also building we were actually also able to build some internal competencies about what is an IDS, how does the openBIM workflow work, which enables us also to disseminate that to the basically to the rest of the community. I think a requirement from the beginning on that project, both from our side and also from buildingSMART International side, was that we would be able to do things like this. I mean, that we are able to tell the good stories, so that others are able to learn from it. And we need to do more on that one. That's still on the list. But I mean, sessions like this is also about transferring knowledge.
Yes, but if you get more concrete about the return, is some of the results open, like IDSs and things like that? It is how, I mean, for all other projects that we are running within buildingSMART, somehow it comes out as services or new standards or whatever. So where can we? I mean, it's a great experience and it's really good to see that it works. But I just wonder how it's coming back somehow.
So I mean, one of the things is the IDS to Excel tool that is openly available. I actually don't think we have discussed how the actual IDSs will be open or not. But for me, it would definitely make sense. I know that Femern both has an ambition to spread that in their what's it called, in their organization. We were also discussing at some point to share it with other infrastructure with other infrastructure clients.
I mean, we could consider putting it in the use case management service if Femern agreed to that, because it's a good use case. And of course, we've got the immersed tunnel project, so there should be some alignment there with ongoing work within buildingSMART. But I would say Marina's just been on maternity leave and has been really driving this thing and has just come back, and therefore it's been in a sort of state of waiting. We're all very delighted you're back, so I think that's probably some of the pause that happened a little bit.
Yeah, correct. When we were presenting the Accelerator Project Program, also another conference, I have to say that we were approached by also other firm owner organizations that were really interested in having the possibility to look at this, all the documents we had prepared, like to document what we were doing and what is coming next and which were the challenges. So yeah, I believe we have to address this point in when starting with the next phase, because it will be the BSDD phase, but also the last phase, the phase 4, is to have guidelines and have all the documents and understand how can we share the knowledge of what we have done, and so that other company, other organization can replicate, also the chapter can replicate what has been done. So it's something we have to discuss for sure. Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about the project Immersed Tunnel already? Yeah. Okay, because within buildingSMART, I think we have started a project on Immersed Tunnel. So looking at the plans that were developed over the past year and now listening to what has been done under this accelerator program, I think the plans can be expedited maybe by a year or 2 or 3. I don't know. So much has been done already. And it would really, you were talking about scaling up within the Femern Belt organization, but I think scaling up to the whole world is at the doorstep. So hopefully we can work together and maybe bring the teams together out of the accelerated program and the project that is now starting up under buildingSMART International. But maybe we can we can connect maybe offline and then continue with that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
definitely. Yes, thanks. Let's do that. Thanks.
Other questions from the audience? Yep.
Thank you. Maybe as a comment from happily contributing to this project, Trimble, as hello Marina. This was also a great experience, and I'm taking now this monetizing part out of the equation, just from this whole setup, this whole program, what it provides. It was, for us as a software provider, being part of this, also a learning curve. So it's kind of a thing, when you think of the setup, take a distant look to such kind of a project and think, how often do you have the opportunity to get all the players in the room to practice what really the customer needs to go through? And you have, of course, a very limited time to do these things, and the hard work is done on the customer side. But when you're looking, say, from the fence perspective on what your customer is doing, and your customer's in the room and can reach out to you and can ask you and you can contribute, you see what your, in that sense, maybe competitor is doing and struggling, and you can help your competitor also to make for the customer the way where he's going to easier. This is all somehow in the bigger picture also money you take away out of the bigger equation when it comes to practicalities. So it's an investment for sure. I'm with you for that. But we also, from other angle, we are not putting money on the table to contribute, or we are freely invited and happily invited because it's for the greater good for the customer and for the project. But there's a learning curve involved, and also a money saving aspect, I think, in the bigger picture. Because if you would in other ways try to get all these softwares